Assalamu alaikum. Thank you all for being here. Before we begin the program, I'd like to invite Brother Tawsif Akbar, who will be doing a Quranic recitation. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. من جاء بالحسنة فله 10 أمثالها ومن جاء بالسيئة فلا يجزى إلا مثلها وهم لا يظلمون. قل إنني هداني ربي إلى صراط مستقيم دينا قيما ملة إبراهيم حنيفا وما كان من المشركين. قل إن صلاتي ونسكي ومحياي ومماتي لله رب العالمين لا شريك له وبذلك أمرت وأنا أول المسلمين. قل أغير الله أبغي ربا وهو رب كل شيء ولا تكسب كل نفس إلا عليها ولا تزر وازرة وزر أخرى ثم إلى ربكم مرجئكم فينبئكم بما كنتم فيه تختلفون. وهو الذي جعلكم خلائف الأرض ورفع بعضكم فوق بعض درجات ليبلوكم فيما آتاكم. إن ربك سريع العقاب وإنه لغفور رحيم. Inshallah, I will translate these ayat, these verses from Surah Al-An'am, verses 160 to 165. In the name of God, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Whoever has done a good deed will have it 10 times to his credit, but whoever has done a bad deed will be repaid only with its equivalent. They will not be wronged. Say, my Lord has guided me to a straight path, an upright religion, the faith of Abraham, a man of pure faith. He was not a polytheist. Say, my prayers and sacrifice, my life and death are all for God, Lord of the worlds. He has no partner. This is what I am commanded, and I am the first to devote myself to him. Say, should I seek a Lord other than God when he is the Lord of all things? Each soul is responsible for its own actions. No soul will bear the burden of another. You will all return to your Lord in the end, and he will tell you the truth about your differences. It is he who made you successors on the earth and raises some of you above others in rank to test you through what he has given you. Prophet, your Lord is swift in punishment, yet he is most forgiving, most merciful. Sadaqallahu al-Azim.
Assalamu alaikum. That was our dear brother Tawsif. Tawsif is a double graduate of the American Islamic College. He's one of our proud graduates here today. I think Dr. Aasi, may Allah welcome him home with a joyous reception and with forgiveness and with mercy. I think Dr. Aasi would be very pleased to know that there are at least 3 alumni of AIC sitting. We have the class of 1987, yes? We have the class of 2019, where's Masoud? And Tausif represents, he graduated from both of our graduate programs, the Master of Arts and then the Master of Divinity. So I think Dr. Aasi would be very pleased to know that, that the school that he helped establish and carried for so long, that the fruits of his labors and the fruits of this institution are gathered here today. We're so honored to have you here at the American Islamic College. We know that we don't have an exclusive claim upon Dr. Aasi's professional and personal and spiritual luminosity, but so we're very honored to be here with representatives of the Lutheran School of Theology in Chicago and Catholic Theological Union, and in so doing, we are in many ways representing a whole circle of communities that benefited from his wisdom, from his intellectual challenge, and from the grace with which he lived and with which he taught and with which he carried himself. And that grace is really felt today. I just want to welcome all of you. We're going to have a program that will include testimonials and prayer, of course, and dinner, of course. And so we hope and pray that that by coming to know one another today, by celebrating the life and legacy of Dr. Ghulam-Haider Aasi, and by engaging in the intellectual exchange and the food exchange and the memories, the exchange of memories, that he will be with us today, inshallah. So may God bless you all, and we'll move forward with the program, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. I would now like to invite Brother Irfan Aasi. Okay, Brother Salman, please join us. Sure. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Salam. Shalom alaikum. Shanti sahate. Shanti milay. Shanti. Ushtate. Heva hipeng. Hazu. Wawachintanka. Nuato yada galielaga. Minuaya. Wanuma. Alafiachi. Asumoro wo nokawu amani iwa nawe ukolo lube nawe odo dirigi salam nui hunale azul fel awen. Peace be with you. I hope I haven't missed any religions represented here tonight. Please forgive me if I have. Among the many amazing wishes my mother and my father, Ami and Abu, have had for me, and I think for my brother and my sisters, I think the most important one has always been to try to be a good person. As I was writing this, I couldn't think of a single moment when Amir Abu said this while the other was in the same room. Yet this was a wish they always had for me, and I think for my brother and my sisters. And they communicated it to me separately on multiple occasions. Two different individuals at different times, in different places, different. One wish, the same wish, the same. When I was old enough to start thinking about the goals I wanted for myself in life, I began to realize that each goal I had fell under the wish that Ami and Abu had for me. To be a good son meant to be a good person. To be a good brother meant to be a good person. To be a good student, teammate, employee meant to be a good person. Each goal, different in role or capacity, was different. It fell under one goal, the same goal, the same. The first conversation I can remember having with Abu about religion, ethics, morality, revolved around trying to be a good person, a topic we discussed multiple times. How do religions address this? What revelation or scripture? Who delivered the message? What God? What prophet? What messenger? The answers were different. Different frameworks, different doctrines, different approaches, different. It was overwhelming. I was 4 years old. I'm just kidding. But now I'm 40 years old. It was overwhelming then. It's overwhelming now. So we focused on the message. Salman, what does it mean to be a good person? To be a good person means to have values, to believe in those values, to practice those values as best as you can in each moment. The values are the same. The same. I think the term that Abu used was universal values. And when we went through them, it wasn't so overwhelming anymore. On one side of this card, try to be a good person. And on the other side, the universal values. And forgive me, Ami and Abu, if I forgot some. Peace, respect, justice, forgiveness, kindness, compassion, and empathy, patience, courage, growth, perseverance, honesty and integrity, responsibility, loyalty, humility and modesty, charity and generosity, and gratitude. Abu used to write on little cards, post-it notes, and sheets of paper, various notes. You can find them in books that he would read. Notes on cards just like this. Some of them crumpled, bent, or used as a bookmark hanging from a page of a book. I tried to choose a font that was closest to Abu's handwriting, but actually legible. And I wanted to laminate it so I could try to preserve it. Ami and Abu, I'll try my best to preserve these values and preserve this wish. So here we are, a bunch of individuals gathered today, different individuals, different, but hopefully with these universal values, the same values, the same. Along with their love This is one of the greatest gifts Ami and Abu have given me. So I wanted to share this gift with each of you tonight. If you remember my father, please let this be one of the ways you remember him. Thank you all for being here. Thank you to those involved in organizing this. Thank you for the impact you had on my father. Thank you for letting my father have an impact on you. And thanks to life for gifting me Ami as my mother and Abu as my father. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. For those of you who don't know me, I am Irfan Aasi. I am Dr. Aasi's eldest son. Maybe perhaps his favorite. But most certainly, without a doubt, as befitting the middle child, the least accomplished. On behalf of the entire Aasi family, I want to thank all of you, express our sincere thanks and gratitude to you all for attending this evening. I wholeheartedly believe that Dr. Aasi would not be very comfortable with the idea of a memorial associated in his name. But I'm sure he'd be very happy to see all of you, his friends and colleagues, get together and enjoy each other's company. We would like to acknowledge and thank many people who meant so much, to Dr. Aasi. Dr. Harold Voglar, that he met way back in the 80s, that introduced him to the LSTC community. They taught together for many, many years. They were travel partners and went to many different places, as you can witness from the photos that we were sharing earlier. I want to thank Dr. Mark Swanson, Dr. Michael Shelley and Sarah Trum, Dr. Carol LaHerd, and for all the efforts and work that they did with my father for the CCME and for Interfaith and for LSTC. From the college, I would like to thank Dr. Aasi's longtime colleague, Dr. Asad Basul, Romana Manzoor, Sister Mary Ali, Yusuf Mari, the brothers Majid, Wahid, and Bayezid, and the whole Bayezid family. Andallah, wherever he is in Africa, I don't know. We miss him. Eve Moore, Dr. Shakila Hassan, all of his past students. I want to thank and acknowledge Dr. Giannotti for his tireless work in reestablishing the college. We'd also like to thank the MEC students who meant so much to Dr. Aasi. Azam is here with us today. Dr. Kasruddin, the MCC community, his dear friend, Bir Muhammad, who we never forget. Dr. Asir Qadir and his son, Abrar Qadir, who became such close friends to us, who would come and take my dad to lunch and spend the whole day with him when we moved to Skokie. I want to thank Dr. Ali Yurtsever, Hilmi, Yashar, and the entire Turkish community, Qazi Publications, and Lali Bakhtiar. I want to thank Dr. Marsha Hermansen for being a longtime colleague of Dr. Aasi. We would like to thank the IFN community that we've been members of for so many years, and who have expressed so much outpouring of support that we're very grateful. I'd like to thank the CTU community, Scott and Dr. Syed Rizwan, for their important work on the Catholic Muslim Studies program. I know there are many more of you who have had a very meaningful relationship with Dr. Aasi and experiences with him that are so amazing. So I beg your forgiveness if I have failed to mention your name. I would, however, be entirely remiss if I did not specifically acknowledge the following four people who have not only meant a great deal to Dr. Aasi, but to our entire family. Yashar Selnik, the pure of heart, who always supported and treated Dr. Aasi like a father. To me, he is like an older brother, and I am so thankful for all that he has done for our family. Zakir Siddiqui, one of Dr. Aasi's students from the early MEC days. He has always championed Dr. Aasi's thought and outlook on Islam. And although he's in California, far away with his family, he's always close to us, and he constantly checks up on us. And he never fails in that regard. Dr. Scott Alexander. I don't believe any other human being alive today has had more of an impact on Dr. Aasi's thoughts and reflections. Scott, I would argue, is the only person we have ever met that would pass 100% the Rawlsian thought experiment of the original position when it comes to social and distributive justice. And if we were to construct the Platonic Republic today, he must accept the heavy burden of the ruling philosopher, such as his ethical and moral nature. Qadri Abdullah, Dr. Aasi's right arm, his first student at the college, my teacher, Rumana and Salman's IFN Sunday school teacher, and the dearest friend to the Aasi family for the past 40 plus years. We simply do not know, or you can even fathom, how we would have been able to handle the past month and a half without Qadri. Indeed, for the past 4 decades, he has always been there for us. To Qadri and Majda, we are forever grateful. One of the most important lessons I learned from Dr. Aasi was that there are 2 very important defining characteristics of a moment. Not just Muslim, but a moment, because there's very many Muslims we know, but very few moments. And those defining characteristics are gratefulness and hope, never having despair, never falling into despair. These constant state of beings, of course, are extremely hard to maintain. Throughout all of his struggles, I believe Dr. Aasi always kept great hope that one day there would exist an institution of higher learning that would genuinely bring forth and firmly establish a revival and reconstruction of Islamic thought, to use Iqbal's term. We humbly pray and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he fulfills Dr. Aasi's hope for the success of the American Islamic College. Ameen. Qul inna salati wa nusuki wa mahyaya wa mamati lillahi rabbil alameen. Qul, say, O Muhammad, tell them, declare, inna, indeed, surely, without any doubt, salati wa nusuki, that my prayers and my sacrifices, wa mahyaya wa mamati, and my living and my dying, lillahi rabbil alameen, are for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Lord of the entire universe. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept Dr. Aasi's prayers, his sacrifices, his living, and his dying. Ameen.
Dr. Scott Alexander.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I hope you can forgive me. Even though I prepared these brief remarks, it was and still is difficult to find words and equally difficult to hold back tears. It's been more than a month since I lost my sheikh, my spiritual father, my colleague, my brother, and my friend. And still the wound is fresh and far from healing. I can be going about my daily business and then something reminds me of our beloved Dr. Aasi. Sometimes it's as simple as the smell of hot tea, and I remember how he liked it and always politely ordered his tea, very hot, please. Other times it's in the classroom or meeting with a student. It's something the student says or I say, or how the student smiles or hesitates to ask what they think might be an embarrassing question. And the memories of Dr. Aasi flood in without warning. I find myself trying to concentrate and remain in the moment, all the while remembering the way he was with students and with me as one of his students. Patient, kind, gentle, keenly inquisitive, always encouraging and inspiring beyond measure. Sometimes these memories bring a smile to my heart or my face or both. Other times I get choked up. Many times it's all of the above. Earlier this afternoon, I returned from a meeting of the Academic Council of the Al-Walid Center for Muslim-Christian Understanding at Georgetown University. Many true luminaries in Islamic studies and Christian-Muslim relations, myself accepted, were there, including another dear mentor of mine and beloved graduate school classmate, fellow student of Ustaz Farouqi, colleague and friend of Dr. Aasi's, Professor John Esposito. John asked me, he could not be present in Washington via Zoom. He wanted me to be sure to extend his condolences to the family and the rest of us gathered here. He wants all of you to know how deeply he regrets that he couldn't travel to Chicago to be with us, not just in spirit, but also in body. Suffice to say, over the course of my 2 days at Georgetown, the memories of my sheikh flooded my consciousness. I know he would cringe with genuine humility and chastise me for saying this, but Dr. Aasi taught me everything I know of any real lasting import about Islam and Christian-Muslim relations. Actually, about Allah, God's self. At first, I was worried that this inundation of precious memories would distract me from the proceedings in Washington and the important matters we were discussing, but that didn't happen. Instead, reflecting the characteristic gentleness of the servant of God we honor and remember this afternoon, the memories became the backdrop for everything I was hearing and taking in and attempting to contribute. Without having to think it overtly, God blessed me with the incredible grace of asking myself, what would my sheikh say or do in this situation? Or at least, what would he want me to say or do? This was such an incredible gift from God, not only because it seemed to dissolve the barzakh between where I am now and where he dwells, but because I felt a responsibility to live up to his standards, his very, very high standards of wisdom, courage, and love for his fellow human beings. One of the things we were talking about is the fact that it seems like Georgetown University is next on the hit list of universities, and that the Al-Walid Center for Muslim Christian Understanding, and particularly the Bridge Initiative, which is an initiative we developed a few years ago to fight Islamophobia, is particularly in the crosshairs. And one of the conclusions we came to amidst all the strategizing was that the key virtue that we all have to pray to Allah to grant us is the one that seems in such short supply these days, and the one that Dr. Aasi embodied so deeply: courage. We look around us and hear what amounts to the deafening silence of those who claim the mantle of leadership as tens of thousands of innocents are slaughtered in the Gazan genocide. As tyrants extend their reach of their unquenchable egos and rapacious greed across sovereign borders, or remand innocent migrants to foreign houses of torture, and even expel citizens, children with cancer, from the only home they've ever known, and to which they have both a legal and a sacred right. As I reflect over the past year for me, there's a loss of 4 men who are paragons of spiritual and moral courage. Saints, as we say in the Christian tradition, awliya Allah in the Islamic context. They are Hajj Effendi Fethullah Gulen, Pope Francis, my father-in-law, whom I don't expect any of you to know, and Dr. Aasi. Best of my knowledge, Pope Francis and Hajj Effendi never met. I like to think they're now enjoying tea with Dr. Aasi and my father-in-law in Jannah, inshallah. But my father-in-law and Dr. Aasi did meet. And Dr. Aasi had that impact on my father-in-law that he has had on all of us and so many others that we don't even know. And that was confirmed in a moment that I will never forget, related to me by my mother-in-law. My father-in-law, may he rest in peace, he died a few months ago after 8 months of struggling with liver cancer. It was very difficult toward the end. Like Dr. Aasi, he was a man of great principle and deep moral conviction. Unlike Dr. Aasi, he wasn't very well formally educated. He was very smart and curious, but he only had an 8th grade education and worked hard as a welder his entire life to support his family. One day, he and my mother-in-law were in Bible study at a local senior center. And for whatever reason, the man who was leading the Bible study and who has a Master of Divinity from some school started talking about Islam and Muslims and exposed deep and virulent Islamophobia. My father-in-law was the kind of man that didn't like to say anything. He was the kind of man that would just sit and take things in. He would only intervene when it had to be done. And so he raised his hand. The man called on him, and he said, "With all due respect, sir, you don't know what you're talking about. Do you know any Muslims? Because I do. I know a Muslim man. His name is Dr. Aasi, who embodies all the virtues we're supposed to be here to embody ourselves and be faithful to. And I know other Muslims, and I know my son-in-law knows a lot of Muslims. And you really need to meet Muslim people to understand how wrong you are." It's a loose paraphrase. There was silence in the room. My father-in-law sat down. They went about the Bible study, and this man never mentioned Islam or Muslims again. I just keep thinking about the confluence of those two men. They only met once, I believe, and not for a very long time. But Dr. Aasi had that kind of effect on him, on me, and on so many of us. And for that, I will be always grateful to God. There's a lot of pain I'm feeling right now, but I know the pain is a gift because it's a form of dhikr. It's a form of remembrance of a man I love so deeply, who loved God so deeply. He loved and served the God who loved him, me, and all of us into being, and who calls us to the courage of these four men I mentioned, and especially his humble servant, Dr. Ghulam-Haider Aasi, so that we might be tireless advocates for the poor and oppressed, and especially in this moment, the victims of genocide in Gaza. And that's my prayer.
Mark Swanson.
Oh, peace be with you all. Over the past few days, I have been hearing from and speaking with colleagues at the Lutheran School of Theology at Chicago, where Dr. Aasi was an esteemed teacher and colleague for so many years. Dr. Harold Vogelaar related the story of how, back in 1984, during a stint as a visiting professor at LSTC, he set out to find out who the Muslims were in Chicago. He came to this place, the recently inaugurated American Islamic College, and met Dr. Aasi. They became friends. Together, they were part of the organizing committee for the following spring's Conference for Improved Muslim-Christian Relations, an important milestone in the interfaith movement in Chicago. And soon they and other LSTC colleagues were team teaching a wide range of courses at LSTC. For a period of nearly 30 years, the vast majority of Master of Divinity or Master of Arts graduates from LSTC had taken a class from Dr. Aasi, a part of the LSTC story of which I am very proud, because he had the kind of impact that Dr. Alexander has just talked about. He had that impact on our graduates. Thanks be to God. But Dr. Aasi's interreligious work was not confined to the seminary classroom or to academic conferences. Dr. Vogelaar and Dr. Aasi became a team that went out and spoke to church conferences, ELCA conferences, and I'm sure others, but I'm talking about our Lutheran denomination right now. They went to conferences all over the country. And after Dr. Vogelaar's retirement, Dr. Aasi was instrumental in many of the outreach programs of our Center of Christian-Muslim Engagement for Peace and Justice at LSTC, working with Dr. Michael Shelley and Ms. Sarah Trum, who is right here, and Dr. Carol LaHerd, and me. In many ways, over the years, Dr. Aasi touched the lives, I think, of thousands of Lutheran Christians, just members of my denomination, not to say anything about other Christian denominations or the Muslim communities here. Thousands of Lutheran Christians embodying and demonstrating the possibility of interreligious friendship, and embodying and demonstrating the possibility of an engagement that does not fear difference or try to eliminate it, but that takes difference as an opportunity for dialogue, for learning, for growth in our mutual humanity, and for a deepening of our faith in Almighty God. It's been good in these conversations to remember Dr. Aasi not just as an interreligious pioneer in the city of Chicago, although he was that, or as a major influence on the interreligious policies of the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America, although he was that, but as my colleague Michael Shelley put it, as a colleague, a mentor, a friend, someone who encouraged us in what we were doing. Carol Aherd remembers the ease and affability of the banter between Dr. Aasi and Dr. Vogelaar. Michael Shelley remembers how well he related to a great diversity of Muslim leaders across this city, as the two of them took students on field trips in their Islam in America class. Carol mentions conversations in the car with Dr. Aasi about being a parent to adult children. I set Michael laughing by telling him a story about how I had to learn in my team teaching how to interrupt Dr. Aasi. He was so generous in his teaching that he often didn't want to stop. Like an airplane coming in for a landing and it was just about to touch down and then suddenly it would take off again. I was first a little overawed and intimidated and nervous. I mean, how does one interrupt one's sheikh? But finally I learned how to say, Dr. Aasi, I think we should pause for questions. And then he always dealt with those questions, no matter how awkward they are, no matter how much they made me go, oh no. He would deal with those questions with the greatest of grace and generosity. Both Harold Vogelaar and Carol Aherd have provided written tributes that we will share. But I would like to close my remarks by quoting from the final paragraphs of Dr. Vogelaar's tribute. He reminds us that his and Dr. Aasi's work in Christian-Muslim engagement was not always understood or appreciated by their wider communities. But then he writes, so I quote Dr. Vogelaar, "So with the steady encouragement and firm counsel of friends, we pressed on against all the obstacles, the naysayers, not always sure of our goal, but fully confident that if we worked hard with and for our students, did our best at the conferences we attended, engaged one another and others in good faith, we could entrust the results to Almighty God." And now Dr. Vogelaar turns to address his friend. So Dr. Vogelaar said, "As you, Dr. Aasi, would often say, may God bless our humble efforts." Yeah. Our humble efforts indeed. Again, this is still Harold. "So farewell, dear friend. You have now finished your journey. You've returned to your Maker, to our Maker. My prayer for you is that for you the questions we asked, the distinctions we noted and savored, the issues we so fervently supported, the thoughts we so deeply pondered, and the blessings of friendship we so enjoyed, may finally be more fully illuminated and better understood in the glorious light of God's compassion, God's mercy, and abundant love. Farewell, dear friend. Farewell, until we meet again. Farewell."
Thank you. Now we'll hear tributes from students, so I would like to invite Qadri Abdullah, please.
Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, most merciful, most compassionate, I bear witness that there is no deity worthy of worship except for Allah, our Creator, the controller of the universe, the sustainer of everything. And I bear witness that Muhammad, peace be upon him, is his final messenger who came in a line of messengers starting with Adam and ending with Muhammad, peace be upon them all. I've tried to write something and I couldn't do it. So I'm just going to share some thoughts as they come. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that glory be to him who has created death and life. So he may test us as to who would be the best of character and the best of action. As I look outside these windows, it takes me back to the fall of 1983. I had just graduated from high school, and my plans were to go and study theology overseas. And then we heard that there was going to be a college called the American Islamic College opening here. My parents were extremely happy because it's only less than 40 miles away from Wheeling, where I grew up. So they said, you know what? No Egypt, no overseas. You're going to Irvin Park and Marine Drive. And that's when I met Dr. Aasi. You know, in life, any of us who has the chance to meet one single individual that can have a lasting impact on their lives, they are blessed. Allah, God has blessed such a person. For me, it was Dr. Aasi. I was 18 at the time, and for the last 42 years, we have continued to be in touch. My wife and I were blessed that the day before he passed, my brother Irfan called me, and it was the day of Eid, and we drove to Evanston. And there I met my dearest sister, Zubayda, my sister Sumaira, my sister Humaira. My sister Romana was not there, and Sister Zubayda at the time was at home. And we walked into the room. And then we sat down outside and talked. And I don't remember who, but came back and said, Dr. Aasi, he had the oxygen, and they said, he's doing good. When we go to the room, and we went in there. And he recognized us, and he talked to us, And he grabbed our hands and kissed our hands. And we had the opportunity to kiss his hand and his forehead. And we talked to him. And the doctor was saying, you know, they were not expecting this. He could, you know, there's a possibility that he go home, you know. And the last thing when we left the room, he said, "Fi amanillah," in God's safety and security. And we walked out thinking that, you know, we'll come back the following morning and talk to him. And then I received a call from Irfan just as I was getting ready to drive over, said that Abu has just passed. You know, I think every one of us who is present here has something special that Allah, God, has given us the opportunity to meet with Dr. Aasi. And I am sure that we all feel something special, some connection that we had with Dr. Aasi. You know, what Salman said, you know, try to be good. Every time I met Dr. Aasi, I never pursued further higher education, but he was every time I met him, I learned something. Every conversation that we've had, and we would stay in touch almost on a weekly basis in the past several years. And if I missed that call to call him, he would call me. And I've saved many of his messages on my phone, and I've listened to them. You know, he was such a learned scholar, but whenever you talk to him, he would say that I am a student of religion, I am a student of history. He would allow anyone to ask any question that they wanted to ask. At a time, I would accompany him to a lot of different events, and I felt that he was being disrespected, so I would get a little agitated. I don't know, maybe being Palestinian, hot-tempered. And he would just calm me down and said, it's okay, let them ask, let them talk. It didn't matter how old or young, educated, not educated, he would allow anyone to speak, and he would sit and listen to them. That was Dr. Aasi. All these virtues, or these akhlaq that Salman, I couldn't help seeing Salman and Irfan up here. I swear I could, I looked at Irfan and I'm seeing Dr. Aasi standing here. He never told his children, he never told me, do or don't do. This is what he said: read, look, listen, use the mind that God has given you, and decide. Before there was anything known back in the early 80s about interfaith and Muslim dialogue, and Cardinal Joseph Bernardine, some of you guys remember that name. Dr. Aasi was doing interfaith back then. He was, again, I could just go on, and I don't want to. All I know is I have this comfort in my heart. Yes, I'm sad to see Dr. Aasi not being amongst us, but also I know that he was a person that never really spoke ill of anyone. He never hurt anyone. he was just such a clean, pure soul, very highly educated. He would tell me stories about when he was in Pakistan and going to school, having to cross a stream or a small river, having to take his extra set of clothes and to put it in a plastic bag with the book so he can cross because they would get wet. And we all knew that he had difficulty with his vision, right? But I don't think that any person with the best of vision had the basira, the clarity, the sense of vision that he had in his heart. You know, this year, we lost Dr. Aasi. And on December 8th, 2024, I lost my mother. Two great souls, two lights have been extinguished. But again, even with that, I have this comfort in my heart that, inshallah, they are in a much better place. I continue to hear Dr. Aasi's voice. He has shaped, I have learned everything from him without having him to tell me one single time, do this and don't do that. That's the type of person Dr. Aasi was. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy upon Dr. Aasi. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gather us with him in paradise. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless him for all the souls that he has touched, for all the students. He was the best of students, he was the best of teachers, he was the best of all human beings. And to my sisters Zubayda, to Humaira, to Sumaira, Irfan, Salman, Rumana, the Aasis, these are my family. I love you all. And we, inshallah, will be together just as Dr. Aasi wanted us to be together, okay? And we'll try and live his legacy by trying to be good, trying to be good people. God bless you all. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
All right, I would like to invite Dr. Shakila Hassan, and then after that we'll have Brendan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Please forgive me for standing up here. I couldn't resist it. I will feel tremendously guilty if I didn't just share this one thing that I experienced with Brother Aasi. He was an encounter in my life as a professor who was teaching in all these seminaries where I was joining in activities and later on the boards. But he was noticing my journey, and I'm not here to elaborate who I am or what I did because I don't even know what I did. And he kept saying, keep doing, Dr. Shakila, because he may have seen that I'm showing my emotions of being young and affected by somebody's criticism or something. And he always gave me the courage. The I don't like to use the words power, but the willpower, I call it intention, that if you have your niyat good and you mean well, you think it is going to benefit more than yourself. It's not selfish. Then it was universal, it was human, it was with one another, and so on. And all the things that we have heard, we can keep going and making it a collection of reflection of this pathway that started at American Islamic College, or collectively with all the seminaries that I have been blessed to get to know them, learn from, and feel good about myself, but just being not good about myself, but be grateful that whatever I think I want to do, I'm continuing and being a part of being a good human. And this list is fantastic. It should be in our conscious that what is being good means. Okay, so I just want to give him credit for this women's movement. I never stood up with a placard that women's rights. And I felt like, do what you can do and be it good enough for the good of many. And that, I hope it's working, is it? Thank you, and I thank all of you, and I give my love to the family, and I wish I was more in touch with you. And anyway, know that my prayers are with you. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Humbled very much to be up here in this room with all of you, not only because of the prestige of all the minds here, but and there are a lot of folks that are like family to me that I haven't seen in a long time too. So it's great to be back. I'm here just to share a humble perspective as a student of Dr. Aasi's. I was a student from 2011 to 2014, give or take a few months in there, because it took me a while to finish my thesis, but we wrapped it up, and at CTU. And so, you know, today we're here remembering his humility, his dedication to the development of his pupils, his students, and his contributions to the field, but also the little moments like I wrote down the hot tea thing, right? And eating lentil soup at Cedars, watching, I don't know, before podcasts were a thing, to be able to watch the dynamic between Scott and Dr. Aasi is pretty impressive. I know all of us have been able to participate in that in some way. So I just have these fond memories of watching those two guys make each other laugh. And to see that from the perspective of a student, to watch something really powerful unfold in front of you, but also to see it laced with humor is really memorable. I also remember the way he would address every student with respect and high regard, not only in person, but also in his emails. I just remember getting an email and feeling like, wow, I feel like a you know, profoundly important person. But most importantly, you know, he was one of those people that give you like a clearing, like a roadside clearing. You're driving over a mountain pass and there's a little pullout. You know, he's the one there pulling you out and helping you look over at the vista and help you make sense of what you're seeing in front of you. But what we've also heard is that his format of education was not restricted to books, but it was very experiential too. And he was a major formative figure in a very formative time in my life. Although it was a brief window, just a couple, 3 years, but definitely a guidepost during my time as a student of Muslim-Christian interreligious dialogue at CTU. And there are others in this room that are also part of that cast, part of the few that have left that imprint on my personal journey as a man in this world, but in my spiritual journey as well. the dialogical exercise operates with the cyclical movement, right, of expansion outward and a return inward. It was Dr. Aasi that helped me understand that great paradox of growing closer to your own tradition by gazing respectfully and lovingly at another. And so we as students, and really of any participant in this relationship building that we call this life, we're on a pilgrim's journey. And although the destination is oftentimes unclear, there are maps that you can follow. So in the classroom, we explore what was, like the history of a tradition, what is the living traditions that exist, and what could be the praxis or the action of that faith in the world. There's that leaving and returning and eventual homecoming into yourself and to your relationship with the divine. And that great mystical paradox of finding yourself through losing it, right? Dr. Aasi offered kindness and wisdom in sheltering along that pilgrim road, so much so that that homecoming was never restricted to the return. It was constant, whenever you were in his presence. But it's never complete. Dr. Aasi once told us that you may not believe your family to be the best, but you always visit without expectations. And so memorials such as this are another homecoming in a way. We celebrate not only his life and his ultimate eternal homecoming, but in a way, hopefully we're feeling guided by some invisible hand in another homecoming with ourselves, again, through revisiting and enlivening these memories. And so in a strange way, I'm comforted by the contradiction of death and loss. The conversations reanimate life. It's like a reflection point of what was to what will be, a branch in ascent rather than one that's flattening, or a flattening of things in general. And in that way, death, which is extremely personal, can also be incredibly selfless. And selfless, again, is one of those words that Dr. Aasi epitomized. Death is also life-giving. The loss of a person creates a void within their community and our family. But it invites the sharing of these memories, these stories that propel us forward. For all of those with ears that can listen, are able to hear them, and they're like little gifts worth unwrapping. Memorializing is very much a generative action. It's naming of things, and it breathes life into stories that may have been left untold, and gives it legs to walk forward. So in this sharing, we are creating and birthing something new, maybe past echoes and reverberations of old times, of that homecoming we've all experienced in his presence, but they also are new oil on new canvases, and this new exhibit in display in this gallery this evening. And I don't think it would surprise the theology nerds in the room to know that Aasi once asked me to write a review and synopsis of Anne-Marie Schimmel's Deciphering the Signs of God, a phenomenological approach to Islam. And at first I was a little annoyed because it was like winter break, and I had just finished all my papers, and he pulled me aside and said, and of course, when Dr. Aasi asks you to do something, oh, yeah, what can I do? How can I support you? Can you write me a 10-page synopsis on this so I can use it in other classes? And so, yeah, I was a little annoyed, but thankful after spending a few hours with the text, because it was it's become a beloved resource, and it's been fun going back and reopening and finding, notes. You mentioned notes and little, notes that your father had left, and I'm falling back into the notes from the classroom, right? My own little Post-it notes that I've created, pointing out something that maybe Aasi had said. So I find it somewhat poetic that I'm now here trying to make sense of the experience of this man, what that text would lead us through, that symbol of joy that comes in trying to deepen your relationship with the divine. Dr. Aasi gave me and other students the gift of conversation, and here we are gathered again, having it. in concert with one another in dialogue, a dialogue of what is and what could be. But that conversations are dynamic, and they happen often when you don't want to, when they can be painful. And Dr. Aasi taught us that it's moments that don't directly provide us with an objective deliverable, that you show up, again, visiting your family or your parents for dinner. You do it not expecting anything in return, but out of love. And hopefully not from a mother's guilt, but that's generally why I visit home. But in those moments of informality is where these relationships deepen, as you can see here in this space. So I give thanks to Dr. Aasi for the simple but profound impact he had also on me, my development, again, stripped of spiritual context, but just as a man, being a good human being, these right here. Yeah, I've heard these, I've seen these. This is perfect encapsulation. I'm still on that journey, still seeking it, still finding out who I am, outside the laboratory of the classroom. But he was key in forming me as a more empathetic, engaged, and informed human being on this planet. So thank you for the hospitality here, and thank you for inviting me into this space, and all my love to the family and the friends gathered here. And thank you for another homecoming this evening. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much, Brendan. Brendan flew in from Seattle to be here for this, so really appreciate that so much. Hearty greetings of peace. As Dr. Aasi always said, it's just so much better than hello or dear, so I use that sometimes. I hope that's okay. My name is Romana Mansour, and I graduated from Catholic Theological Union, where I took several classes in interreligious studies with Dr. Aasi and Dr. Scott Alexander. As part of the consortium, I also took classes with Mark and Dr. Aasi as well at the Lutheran School of Theology. Attended Iftar here at AIC. I was so excited to hear that there was an Islamic college. That was amazing. Yeah, and it's just, this card is perfect. It really is. It's perfect. And, we won't ever, we will always associate these things with Dr. Aasi. And when I have had the beautiful opportunity of meeting you all, I see him in all of you. You all embody this as well. So it's an honor to share some words of remembrance about Dr. Aasi, who remains dear to me. He was my teacher and my guide. Dr. Aasi was an incredible scholar. He thought critically, deeply, and widely about Islamic concepts and theology, history, philosophy, and in practice. He gently created space for his students to think outside the box. He was never arrogant or judgmental about what he knew. He was not the type to get into petty competition or make anyone feel less knowledgeable. Everyone was welcome to the table. And so when I first started here at AIC, Dr. Aasi was the first person I called. I wanted his blessings and his advice, and of course, he gave both to me sincerely, along with some food for thought. Dr. Aasi leaves behind a legacy of interfaith initiatives that he started here at AIC, and he did so much for the college, and I came to love it just as he loved it. He introduced me to people at various faith-based organizations and schools, and invited me to attend all the dialogue circles he led here at AIC. A small group of Christian clergy and students were visiting to observe Friday prayer one day, and when Dr. Aasi met them, he shook everyone's hand as he welcomed them, establishing a personal connection right away. After this service, there were a few members of the Muslim congregation that were curious and interested, and so Dr. Aasi welcomed them to the dialogue. I was in my early 20s, and I watched Dr. Aasi's warm care and hospitality extend equally to all those around the table. There was this one awkward moment, and I sank in my chair as one Muslim congregant, in so little words, told our guests that the Christian scripture is corrupt and that they all needed to convert to Islam. So, to my surprise, Dr. Aasi let the dialogue play out. He did not try to silence the gentleman or control the narrative or hide this stereotypical perspective from scrutiny. As I had great respect for Dr. Aasi, I continued to watch and observe. I realized it would not be sincere or truthful or kind to oppress or subdue the person and his words, nor would it allow the real work of dialogue to occur or a deeper, more transformative experience to take shape. If that other person was humiliated, belittled, shut down, or an argument ensued, then there would be no teaching and therefore no transformation. What's the relevancy of a scholar then? It was such a profound learning experience for me. And I've shared this story with Sarah at CCME as we continue these dialogue luncheons that he started. And we've run into those kinds of situations, and we've discussed this exact story and kind of turned these into opportunities, right? These like case studies, opportunities to understand and relate. Because we all have these kinds of perspectives in our traditions. It's the reality, it's the truth, and it's an opportunity. So only someone with, I think, a true conviction and someone with great humility could get to this level of consciousness and intellect. And so I'm so grateful that Dr. Aasi was an example of this to many and to me. So for me, it is true that I learned more about Islamic values and what it means to strive to be a better person from Dr. Aasi and those kinds of exchanges. Dr. Aasi was a great man of humility, consistently kind, patient, and warm, a tough teacher and loving nature, calm and gentle with vast knowledge. He had a way of making each person feel seen, heard, and valued regardless of background, belief, or ability. He led with integrity. He safeguarded people's dignity. He never sought to be the center of attention, yet he changed lives simply by being who he was. His last text to me, I'm going to read it. He said, "Dear Romana, hearty salams and duas. Thanks for keeping the interfaith activity of the AIC alive." That means so much to me. Thank you for sharing your beloved father and beloved husband with us all. Let us carry forward his light and contributions in how we treat others and how we teach, how we listen, and how we lead. May Dr. Aasi's legacy continue to inspire us all and the generations to come, inshallah. Ameen. I would just like to invite Dr. Scott Alexander to do a closing dua. We'll have dinner, and at that time, we'll have a beautiful slideshow that Sarah has put together of Dr. Aasi, and we'll also have the opportunity for any members of the community to come up and share their reflections and tributes. Thank you.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In Surat Luqman, we are introduced to the Prophet giving his son advice and wisdom. And when I was thinking of coming here today and what Dr. Aasi meant to me and the relationship I had with him, it led me to these ayat. And this one in particular stands out, given the moment we find ourselves in يا بني أقم الصلاة وأمر بالمعروف وانهى عن المنكر واصبر على ما أصابك إن ذلك من عزم الأمور. Oh, my dear son, be constant in prayer, enjoying the doing of what is right, forbid the doing of what is wrong, and bear in patience whatever might befall you. This, behold, is something to set your heart on. And so we pray. Good and gracious God, whose essence is mercy and who bestows mercy on everyone and everything you have called into being, we give you thanks for the gift of all the sons and daughters of Luqman in our lives. And we pray that you transform the stony hearts of the many pharaohs who futilely attempt to replace you as the sovereign of our lives. We give you thanks for the life of your humble servant, Ghulam-Haider Aasi. We ask you to bless him and have mercy on him. He is among those whom you have given the wisdom to have realized in the depths of his being that, as your blessed servant Martin once preached, injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. He is among those whom you have granted the courage to speak your truth, while so many of us who otherwise invoke your name remain fearfully and perhaps even sinfully silent. Ya al-Fatah, you are the opener not only of minds and hearts, but new doors and pathways to justice, even in the midst of unspeakable injustice and depravity. Keep us ever aware that whenever we slam doors on our fellow human beings, you are on the other side. Keep us ever aware that, as your servant Francis once said, those who build walls rather than build bridges are not worthy of your holy name. Grant to us, O God, even a fraction of the measure of the wisdom and courage you granted to your servant Dr. Aasi in this life, so that we too may follow his example and the example of all your prophets and messengers, and live not in passive but in active solidarity with all those who suffer oppression, and cry out to you for justice and the peace only justice can bring. And let the people of God say, Amen.
This microphone has been one of the participants, I think, tonight. Everyone has been wrestling with it, and it's had all kinds of contortions. I just want to say to the family what an honor it has been for the college. You have brought great blessing to the college by coming today. What a great honor it is for you to have shared your father with so many, as you can see. And now it's going to be our honor to have dinner with you. And I just want everyone to know that dinner tonight is the gift of the Aasi family to us all. They're treating us to dinner tonight. And so we are your guests, even as you're ours. And through you, we are your father's guests tonight. Let's enjoy dinner, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.